Yes.
Oh, well, when I called, oh my God, it was a storm.
Yeah.
But I could see ahead. And
Yeah.
it was clear. So,
Just getting us set up on here. Good. How are you?
Good,
I'm
good.
doing great. I ended up meeting up with a friend I hadn't seen in over 30 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome.
But we are totally different. She traveled all over the Orient.
Oh,
She
oh,
was a
wow.
merchandiser.
Oh, very cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So she said, your problem was you never left the area. I said, I did, but I came back. That
Yeah.
was my problem.
Yeah.
Came back. Right. And when I told her about my family, she couldn't believe it. Our lives are so different.
So different.
My parents have been like hers. Yeah, my family, yeah, they weren't very happy.
It's interesting when you reflect and you meet with somebody, right? Going back in that time.
Right.
Yes.
Kind of like when I go back home to Michigan, I'm one of the few that escaped from the town.
Uh, you know, one of my friends, he's from Illinois,
Uh-huh.
and this way I don't forget my phone.
Yeah.
Shit, if I forgot it. And very sheltered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. It's like the friends from Michigan. I met my two friends, they do NHRA racing, right? He
Oh.
builds race cars and stuff, but they brought this other guy from Michigan with him. And I'm like, yeah, they're like, so what are you doing next April? I said, well, I'm doing the astrology certification. I plan to do this. And he's like 65, 66. He says, you gotta be kidding me. You know, what are you doing next? Like, no, I'm not just laying down and dying, dude. You know, that's kind of what he was like. He's like, holy crap, you know, it's like, that's not how we roll down here in Florida.
Yeah, I don't know. I told him I couldn't live like that. He's still, I mean, he makes about 85 grand a year. Money's not a problem. He doesn't have children and so that stuff.
Yeah.
And he doesn't travel. He doesn't do it. I said, you got it. But he said, I never did. I live in a town. He doesn't have that need.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I just think it's exciting.
You're right.
To meet different people from different cultures and stuff.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Ooh, that's what I keep on forgetting. I have my little habits,
Hey, there's the cash machine book.
But I tell you, I love this book. I loved it.
Let's see the book. I gotta see it. I gotta actually touch it.
And I loved it. And I had even
I love it.
same sheet that we had done before because I had filled it
No,
out and
different.
I couldn't.
This is cool.
Then I couldn't find it.
I
even bought this. I said I left it there. I loved it. Now it's got its own little marker.
I love it.
So it's funny, the last time this happened, for some reason the thing didn't record.
Ah.
I was so upset.
Oh.
So since it's the beginning, do you think we can say a big thank you to Dave and Chana for this like writing this book?
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna come here. Good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah,
like
come here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I love and
There's
like
like
you were saying, that's what sold me the way you said it. It is a love story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how she changed
Oops.
and left. See, I
That's
would have been
wonderful.
with Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle, I mean, not
pretty
that
messed
I have to have a lot of money, but I don't want to sacrifice.
Yeah.
I went my whole life, so if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I
Right.
wouldn't sacrifice. No way.
Just give me 2 seconds. I messed up.
All good. It's all good.
I'm gonna take it off the thing so they can at least see us for 5 seconds.
All right.
Well, that's cool. And he's in where?
They're in
Oh,
Jerusalem.
wow. That's cool. Isn't that amazing? Now
Yes.
that I am impressed
Yes.
that we can talk to someone across the world.
I mean, it's like we're recording it, but essentially,
Say thank you. Thank you.
yeah. There, stop share. That's what it is. All right. Well, is it everyone?
Do we see?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, good Zoom. Yeah, I like
I'll
it.
stand in front of the light so it doesn't blind everybody.
All right.
So
Perfect.
we just want to say thank you, Dave and Hannah, for creating this book because it's making an impact in the Tampa Bay area. Any thoughts you want to share with them?
I can't wait to implement your suggestions and your ideas because I definitely can use the help now. Yeah, with my money.
Awesome. And thank you so much. I'm actually
Yes.
implementing some of them now and have had the
Yes.
best month that I've had as financially in a couple years, a good bit of time. So thank you so much.
And I've also had my best month last month after putting in a budget and everything. I've never worked with a budget in my life. And I'm just so grateful to have read this book for a second time and really starting to put things into practice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna get us back on to where the discussion is. Setting. I like the background stuff.
Oh, yeah. Got some good energy. I like that one with the horns up there.
All right, let's get us back to the cash machine. Is this the right one? Yep, this is the right one.
Might as well.
Okay, so after kind of how you phrased your question yesterday, um, I think it was yesterday when I spoke to you, like you wanted to go over the different concepts in the
Oh,
book.
yes.
So what I did was I drew up like a breakdown of the key concepts in the book. I probably won't hit all of them, but we're going to talk about 7 of them today.
Oh, good. Okay.
We've kind of already talked a little bit about one, but just to set the tone, we can re-talk about it now that we've all read the book in full.
Okay.
So the first one is money, mindset, and beliefs. You'll never become wealthy until you believe you can, is the quote here. What are some of the limiting beliefs Amber and Dylan each hold around money? How do their money stories change over time? So just setting the tone again.
Okay. Yep, absolutely. So, limiting beliefs is, initially, right, with Amber, she had believed she had to go to college and get her degree and to be able to go ahead and had to have that doctorate before she could actually earn the monies, right? Without looking at the other side of it. I think, that's one of the ones that really stuck with me because that's ingrained in us, right, as a culture, or
Right.
has been historically ingrained in us as a culture, right? To have to go get that
Right.
bachelor's, right?
Right.
Right.
It was, you don't know, I don't, and you're younger than me. It was our era growing up.
Mm.
But with the women, my family said, "Oh, you don't have to go to college because you're going to have children, to get married and
Get
have
your
2
husband,
children."
yeah.
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 And it's so funny. It ended up being her daughter. I've worked all my life since I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
So I never got to stay home. I never had that family, like she said. And
Yeah.
so I think she got caught up in that.
Mm.
What her family
Yep.
wanted her, she should do. You need accomplish. And I got caught up, and that's what she's done.
She did.
So naturally, she meets a guy. I mean, she was well off. I mean, she
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
need anything.
Yeah.
Then you meet this guy to struggle. I mean, and yet she's willing to sacrifice, but then she has to hear it from her family because I used to have to hear it from my family. You're going out with him and you get it. So I think that's what she got, and she caught up, and she wasn't able to decide for herself at the beginning
Right.
what she wanted
Agreed.
until later on.
You know what's interesting? We never got to see the side of Dylan's family.
Oh,
That's true.
that's
We
right.
did not.
That's a good one. Oh, now they're gonna have to write a book.
That's,
But
that is true.
Yeah.
A good point.
I
Yep.
mean, maybe his lifestyle, he didn't have any, when you have stuff, my brother used to say, "Oh, what are you worried about? I don't make enough money until he did my taxes." How do you do it? How do you make? That's why I have 2 jobs. So until
Yeah.
you know a person's situation or you've been there yourself, you can't relate. He couldn't relate to my struggle
Right.
because he didn't struggle. He
Right.
didn't have. So I think that was the other thing. And eventually he'll retire much younger, which was the whole point.
Yeah.
To retire at
Right.
50
Right.
versus or 40. He was going to be young, really.
But also, like, what was interesting is he was in college.
Right.
Yeah.
He was about to
Yeah.
go and take
So
that
he-
track.
I
Yes.
think under the same, I'm guessing his history came up with the same parental guidelines or thoughts, this is what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Well, like it's interesting because like, all right, for my background, I didn't have that family that said you need to go to college. Actually, I had naysayers in regards to that because my parents were both workers at actually Bic.
Very,
So,
very nice.
and so like they were, like my dad's a mechanic for the machines or was a mechanic for the machines, and my mom worked in shipping. So it was blue collar type of work, and it was whatever you make in life is what you get.
Right.
It was a very different outlook. But then you had like in my granny and my grandpa were the same way. He was a builder. My granny stayed home and, worked here and there if, for fun, really. Um, but then my grandfather and my grandma, same kind of on the other side, was kind of very similar. My grandpa actually had a gas station and then ended up selling it in the 70s. And
Oh,
that set up the family very well. But there wasn't that. And it wasn't until my Uncle Jim said, I'm going to college. He ended up becoming a teacher, but then was like, I want to be a doctor. So it went, and then it wasn't until that generation on my dad's side where that was a important thing. And so I looked up and I was like, well, this, in school, that's all they tell you is you need to go to school and continue. And
But they don't help you, and that was my point. What you want to be when you grow up.
exactly.
That's why I didn't know. I didn't know. What do you major? Oh, do business. I did business. Oh no, I want to be a counselor. I changed so many times
Yeah,
that I could have had my bachelor's and a master's.
right.
That's how many times I
Wow.
changed it.
Wow.
Because every time I talk to someone, oh, you should go into that. Oh, you should go into that. You should go. So every time you change the calendar,
Right.
that puts you back because that one
Yeah.
might require more, if you know about college. And that's why instead of focusing on what my strengths are and maybe a profession that could lead and
Right.
they didn't go to college, well, to do what?
Right.
And then I didn't read
Right.
a lot. I hardly read. So I struggled with the tech books. They're hard to understand versus a book to read.
Right.
And so that was my setback. Otherwise, if I hadn't struggled so much with the reading, I might have, pursued it. So,
And I think the biggest thing is there was a lack of clarity, especially for Amber,
right.
because there wasn't that support. I mean, they try to come up with like, oh, we'll help you with career development and all these things, but it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
And Dylan was very clear.
Oh, yeah. He knew.
He was supersonic clear.
He was.
And then you find this, okay, well, because like obviously there's the personal clarity for each one. And then there's the how do we do this as a couple?
Mhm.
And that's a huge one in itself.
That took them all. That's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth, right?
Right. So, let's move forward to the cash flow quadrant. Okay, so employ, and if you have it here, and if it's better for you to see it up here too, I have that.
Yeah, roll it up there. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have to put my glasses on.
I like to have it both ways. So the cash flow quadrant is employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Different roles come with different rules. What quadrant is Amber operating in at the start of the book? What about Dylan? Let's start there. We'll even write it on here. I love boards.
Yeah.
So we have start.
You should have been a teacher.
Well, I kind of am.
When you look at it, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I teach here and I also
Yeah, you're
teach
right.
Jewish studies. So
I was just thinking, school board, because that's where I retired from school board.
I just didn't do the 2 or whatever the amount of years for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I did go to college, but it didn't quite help out because it just
It's
didn't.
what you go into. Yeah, but I've known a lot of people that can't use it. Okay,
So we got
start.
Dylan and Amber. We can order, in any order here.
Yeah.
So at the start, well, we gotta figure out what the start was, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So the start was
I was a little bit confused. Now that you said that, confused.
Yeah.
So that'll be great. Just
Yeah.
to put me,
In the
focused,
framework,
in
yeah.
the framework, right?
So at the beginning, we do hear the backstory of when they first go into college. We're not gonna use that. We're gonna go into okay, now Disney.
You're doing my language.
Right, I am.
I did that last night.
Dylan owns property.
Right.
Would he be classified as an employee, self-employed, business owner, investor?
I figure the business, but what about investor?
I think
When
that-
you're a business owner, you're an investor, aren't you? Because you're investing your money in your business. And especially if you have products and stuff
Right.
versus service.
He's an investor employee.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Isn't he working for somebody else, doesn't he?
Well, he's self-employed. Well, yeah, to make extra money. I can't
Right.
remember. Yeah. See,
So-
that's why with him it was a little confusing.
For him, let's break it down a little bit. He does have a business because he has a crew.
That's true.
Okay.
He has a crew because
He
they
has a
can
crew.
come in and do that kind of stuff.
Right.
Right. Okay. The repairs. And stuff.
Okay. Now we don't learn until later where he's trying to actually invest.
Okay.
So he doesn't start off as an investor.
Okay.
Right.
He starts off as now the question is he self-employed or business owner? What's the difference?
Oh, well, to me, a business is like you have a building, you have like trucks, cars, vehicle. Self-employed, you can have your own business, do it at the house. You don't really have.
I felt
You
he
can
was
do things on
self-employed.
computer.
I was putting him in self-employed.
Oh,
That's what was coming
yeah.
to me.
Because honestly, business owner kind of is more like business.
You run a business.
You run a business.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's not really running one.
Right.
And he's doing
He's
it.
an investor, really.
Well,
he does property. He did buildings, didn't he? For
Later.
rental? Oh, later.
Later.
That's
Yeah,
where
not
I.
at the
That's where I
beginning.
came.
going
from.
at the beginning,
Sure.
he is doing the jobs too.
Yeah.
He's not the one overseeing
He's living
all
in
the
a basement
jobs.
someplace. Yeah. Right.
So he has some hand in it.
Yeah.
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 And so we'll say for him, what did we say? Self-employed. Oops, that's an M. And then for Amber, she works at a school.
Mhm.
Yep.
So she's an employee.
Employee. Yep.
Yeah, employee.
I'm gonna do it in a different color, actually. I like the different colors.
Thank you, teacher. Which face when shifting.
Employee. Okay. Now, how many transitions do you think there were?
Oh. Yeah, I should have written all that down.
Oh,
No, it's okay.
So per person?
Well, yeah, like,
Oh,
okay.
oh.
So Amber goes where after that?
Oh, after the school,
Well, she becomes
A wife? No.
Self-employed.
Self-employed.
because she had that one little venture.
She did that the one apartment thing.
Right.
yeah, she bought it.
Well,
Yeah. Or was
so
it
there was that.
right?
There was that, and also she worked I could see your point in regards to investor for Dylan as well.
Yeah.
Self-employed and investor.
Right, I thought investor.
Yeah, I could see
Because
that.
early
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
he invested in that.
So we'll
first
use-
complex.
From the
Yeah.
very beginning,
building,
he
yeah.
told her, yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
it was right,
Yep.
yeah.
So we'll
The
put
one thing
investor
led to
here.
another, yeah.
Right.
So he's a
And he lived in the basement or something, right? Because there was guidelines,
Right.
if you live in there, that's the type of loans you can get and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I forgot
was
the
very
number.
good,
There was,
yeah.
yeah, he attached
Yeah.
it, a hut.
So now-
Hut or,
I
What-
forget what it was,
yeah, there
yeah.
was something, yeah.
So then we also see that she transitions down, right? And she is, yes, an investor, which is because of the apartment stuff. But also she had that other job. You remember she left for her school teaching job
Uh-huh.
and became a tutor.
Are
Okay,
you sure that was, I work for the school board, and those are supplements, they make extra money doing that, if she stayed with the
She
school.
didn't though.
Oh, she did leave the school.
She left the school.
Okay, she did, I can't remember that. Isn't
She
that
left the
funny?
school and then she became
A
a tutor, but it was an independent contractor.
Oh,
Okay.
independent.
So even though she was technically kind of employed, but she wasn't really employed, it had to be under her own business.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's a different category. So
yeah.
at that point, she is
So
self-employed.
she had two transitions, right?
She did. She had two. So self-employed. And Dylan, you know, he pretty much stayed consistent, honestly.
He
because-
just always seemed like he kept on looking, either bigger, more, this.
Right.
By then, he already knew how to work things
Right,
out.
yeah.
I
Right.
mean, once you know
Yeah.
your job, you know where to look at, and he was already a pro by the time he met her.
Right.
And then now playing one round of cash flow, right?
Uh-huh.
It was like he figured out how to do that small deal
Right.
first, right?
Don't go for the big deal, April. You took the big deal card right out the first.
He
But I learned right off
Yeah.
the first, right?
figured out how to get in the
Yep.
game.
He did.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And then he kept expanding,
Right.
Yes.
Right.
which was really important.
Because that other one would make him money, if you made, then he could use that
Yep.
for a bigger, and he seemed like he kept on getting bigger.
And also he was looking at like his return on investment.
Is our
ROI.
yep.
Right.
So he was really paying attention and he had goals for himself. He says,
That's the other thing.
By-
Life goals.
Yes,
he wanted to reach a certain status by a certain age.
yes.
Right. Yes.
And by the time he got in, he realized he had a net worth of $1 million. While his friend, what was his friend's name again? I can't remember. Crap. Kyle.
Wow.
Oh, Kyle, yeah.
And Kyle is like, oh yeah, I make the big bucks. I make the big bucks, but he wasn't investing anything.
No, and he was,
He was spending
everything.
everything.
He was spending on his mortgage and
And
everything.
he figured later he could do it. Now he'll buy everything, and then
I'm
when
gonna buy that pretty pearl necklace
then
for my
he can
wife
do it,
right
and
now.
then-
Yeah.
when I do ask people in their 30s, they do look at me. Because I said, does your job offer retirement? They look, really, lady? And I said, you know what? And I tell them my story and people that I know, is that what you want? But they're still, their mindset is not into retirement.
And the thing
And they did
is,
tax shelters, annuities. A lot of people have never done that. but
Right.
I did. I saved a lot of money.
now everything's changing so
So
much.
much.
Definitely.
Technology is changing, the way we operate.
Jobs are changing.
Yeah.
Have a job today, get another one tomorrow,
Right.
or I'll go deliver food or whatever, just sort of or I'll do something online,
Right.
And AI,
Yeah.
they're changing
TikTok.
the types of jobs we have. Some are going to be eliminated, others will be created
Yeah.
based on,
True that.
And-
demand.
And that's why learning the technology is only going to help you.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know those things, you're going to get left behind. And then you do end up in a scenario where,
You can't pay your Duke Energy bill because you don't have a mobile phone.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but
it is true.
It's true.
It's scary.
There's not gonna be any customer service anymore because they keep pushing customer
The-
service out to
Or
be
the AI.
like a, yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
hate that.
I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to a person.
But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
We're actually required to make sure we make the statements, and I'll get dinged on my reviews if I don't mention, go online at duke-energy.com.
Oh, really? So they monitor you.
So I am going to write something on here.
Eventually, we're gonna make a trip to the zoo.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know it's changed.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot. I
absolutely.
mean, I grew up there.
I
you
can't
know.
wait. I'm gonna
Oh,
be
I
doing a
know.
wedding
I
next
stopped the
Saturday.
pony since I got so
Oh.
tall and big.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes,
okay.
definitely. We're gonna do a road trip to the zoo, all of us.
I love that.
Yes, we'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can,
I love
yep,
that.
yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
So I can get 3 people in for free, so
Mhm.
that is, I see 3 people right there, Jana, Catriel, yourself, yeah.
I love it. So, what do you feel is your next step in regards to being a part of one of these quadrants?
I would like to be a business owner. That's what I want to do.
So now the difference between a business owner and a business operator,
Okay.
a business operator is self-employed. That
Oh,
means you're doing the ins and outs.
uh-huh.
Here, a business owner
Uh-huh.
is I have the vision, I have the plan, and I hire other people to do it.
Oh, well, then I'll be self-employed because we'll probably do it ourselves. Yeah, okay. So that's the difference.
Mhm.
I never knew it because you kept on asking me. I said, I just told you to myself.
Tony Robbins talks about this a lot because a lot of times, you know, we get into this place of like, okay, well, I want to do this, but I have so many things on my plate. And it's talking about delegation
Mm-mm.
Oh,
and how to delegate appropriately.
it's funny. My friend, she's a merchandiser, and that was the first thing she says, honey, I can delegate, and you get things done. My
Yep.
brother was good too. So you're right about that.
So, you know, at a certain point, like, yes, it might be your next step is self-employed, but once you're in that field, you may say, you know what, I may need to delegate some things and hire some people
Right,
because you're expanding.
Right.
But the first step
Oh,
is self-employed.
and then
right.
because you hire people to help, you become a business owner then?
You're
Now,
delegating
what's-
tasks.
I can never say the word. What's self-proprietor versus LLC?
Sole proprietor.
Yeah, sole proprietor. Yeah. So what's the difference between that and because my son said do the LLC
You're
because they give you
liable.
the money.
Right, and you're
But-
liable as a
right,
sole
and she
proprietor.
said, but
Correct.
she's right, but she said the sole proprietor, they can't take over your stuff.
Correct.
Because she has
Or no, that's the
still-
LLC.
LLC, they can't take over your stuff.
They can't take over
That's why
your
you
stuff.
don't want to be a
See,
sole
that's
proprietor.
right.
No,
And she said she looked into it because I said I was
it's the
told
LLC, it's true.
So I
Yeah.
don't think she's gonna make it. Man, I didn't realize
So
that.
LLC is so they
Yeah.
can't take your stuff.
It's
Sole
a
proprietor-
limited liability company.
That's correct.
Oh, that's what it
Yep.
means.
Yep.
Limited, what is it?
Limited
Limited
liability.
liability. Yeah.
Okay.
Company.
Yep. Absolutely.
Limited, oh, okay.
So you said Esther. I'm gonna actually put a star. Where would you like to be?
There.
Okay.
Right there with Queen Esther.
April?
And do what? What do you want?
I'm actually going to be doing astrology classes,
good.
programs,
Good.
healing with dogs, stuff like that.
Okay.
She's almost finished with the astrology certification program. And that's a 100-hour program.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. Been very committed.
Good
Committed.
for you.
I'm surprised that I created a 100
I
hour
know,
program.
right? It's amazing. We're doing
I'm a
it.
teacher.
Yep, absolutely, positively.
So I'm here already.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back there
Nope,
at all.
erase.
I would like to be a part of here and here.
Those are both, well, the next step is investor,
Yeah.
for me as well.
Because I would like to I would like to be able to expand my finances and have like my intelligence in that area.
Absolutely.
And like as I said last night, my friend Andrea is in this line of work where she's getting a certification on how to help people get out of debt.
Oh.
And they're
That's
using
good.
the other book as part of their team building
Oh.
exercises. What's it called?
Dream.
Size of Your
Dreams,
Dreams.
Size of Your
Size of
Dreams.
your
Yep.
dream. Ooh.
And so that's what we're reading next. So if you want to get
Oh,
ahead
good.
on
Okay.
it, you
Yep.
can.
Okay.
So like I was just like, huh. As we were going through the astrology last night, because we did financial astrology last night,
Oh.
which was very like enlightening.
Very much.
And pun intended.
Lighten the load. Yes, absolutely.
But I really felt like, wow, if I were to help other people get out of debt and help them understand financial astrology along with that,
Yeah.
that's a whole niche that a lot of
Wow.
people are not doing. Imagine if you could look at your birth chart and your progress chart and see a way out, a vision to actually move through this and not only get out of debt, but thrive. That's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
That's what you will do.
that's what I'll do.
You
Still-
will do.
You know what? I had misunderstood you and I didn't pay attention because I thought I heard July for that 101 astrology.
July 20th.
Is July. Okay. See, you said July, so you must have been full because you had one in June 28th. And I had missed that because of July, but I'm going to sign up for that one.
No one showed up for the
Oh.
other one. So
Oh.
we stayed in there and we reworked some stuff
Mhm.
so that it's not an intensive, but it's a more of a
2 to 3 hours. Absolutely.
it's like a taste
Yeah.
of what we're gonna be doing in the program.
Okay.
So I mean, or any other class that kind of, because like not everybody wants to be an astrologer,
Yeah.
right? But you can come to certain classes. What the difference between taking astrology classes and the program
Mhm.
is that like everything's included with the program, and that also includes labs.
I
The
don't know what
labs, like
Hands-on.
Oh, labs.
hands-on
Okay.
practice. So I
Okay.
teach you how to really analyze the data, be able to work with it, and we even bring in Chat GPT into the
Yes,
conversation.
absolutely. Love it. I'm using it now for everything.
It's
No, I just thought everything.
only been a week.
I'm using it for everything. Help me build my lanai.
But like some people may be like, okay, well, I want to know how to do this, but I can take it from there. And they'll just come to some of the classes, or they may, pop in for a lab, and that's, cost different, But, and I like to have that be a thing so that,
Flexibility.
yeah, like you make it what is
A la carte.
perfect for you.
A la carte. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, I've got to make sure. I want
yeah, July 20th. And I
Yeah.
sent it to you on your phone too.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna look at sacrifice versus freedom.
Mm.
The freedom to choose comes at the cost of comfort. That's the quote.
Very true.
Oh.
What sacrifices do characters make for financial growth?
Limiting going out to eat.
Okay.
Dylan, right? I mean, he really did, right?
Yeah.
He did not. I mean, he was very fixated on, not doing that. I mean, that came up right off the bat.
Like he stuck to his
No-
boundaries too.
No car.
No car.
Yep. Yep. So I think those were definitely Dylan-ish ones.
Am I okay to erase this?
I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, and basically Amber started down that path when she stopped leasing the cars and went and got her Honda, whatever she got
Yeah.
with the, right?
He did. So She had a used car,
Right.
or
a
a
used
pre-owned
car,
car.
Yep.
That she
yeah,
ran
yep,
into a
yeah,
problem.
Yeah, yeah,
That happened to me.
Yeah.
I really buy more new cars than used cars.
Mm,
Only because I can go 2, 3 years and not have major, repairs.
Right.
But he did say that, what I was told, if you don't have a car
Mhm.
payments today are 3, 4, 500,
Right.
then you can use that money to repair the car.
right.
So,
Half a dozen one, half a dozen other.
yeah.
I buy used cars, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've
Yeah,
owned
yeah.
them, but I've had headaches.
I've owned the new ones too,
Yeah.
so I was on the lease program before
Yeah.
too, where,
Oh,
but I
I
ran
never
it,
did that.
but I ran into the miles situation.
Oh, yeah.
So
So,
boom, I stopped that
Yeah.
after that. It sat in the driveway for a month because I couldn't drive it.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
I would be over the miles and I would get severely penalized.
Slapped, I
Yeah,
know.
Or you can refinance it into a buying
yeah,
thing
right,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so did Amber sacrifice anything else?
At one point she didn't, but I thought later on when she started with the program, she did the car
She did the
and
car.
then the apartment. Didn't she buy an apartment that was in bad shape? Her family,
Yeah.
they were gonna
What
see
they
it.
call, they
Yeah.
call it, there was
Oh,
some
and
name
the
for
same
it.
time
Yeah,
yeah. And they probably were saying, what the hell's happening
Yeah.
to my daughter? Let's
With this,
save her.
this guy that lives in the basement. Yeah.
Well, they know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before,
'Cause
yeah.
they met him
That broke
before.
her heart. Yeah.
Living in the basement.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Also,
Yeah, it was very well written. I wonder who did what. Did they split the book? Your people, the Masons.
I don't know how they wrote it
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a nice story, very well done.
I think the other one that we need to pay attention to, and I'm gonna write it for both of them here,
Yeah, let them know. They did a damn good job.
Relationship.
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it became a problem and they broke up.
They
Right,
did. Yep.
right.
So it went into home, like vehicle, relationships,
Yep.
socializing. It went into a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, think about it. It's going to affect the people you hang out with.
Absolutely.
It is.
Kyle are very judgmental and they wouldn't hang around Dylan, and
Yeah.
and everything measured, everything used, everything. Yeah.
Well,
It does affect the type of people you hang out with.
it does. And well, it's interesting because Kyle did still hang out with Dylan, but
Yeah.
not in the way that maybe Kyle would have preferred. And same,
Already friends from, it's something from the past. It's
Yeah.
not like he made the friendship.
yeah,
It's a current one. Yeah.
correct.
So he's not gonna take him with his holy shirt or stained shirt
Yeah.
to, the restaurant, the galley restaurant down
Right.
there. Country club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second one is, what does freedom look like to each of them?
Well, I mean, with Dylan, of course, is not to retire young, not having to work. That's why he was doing all of this, sacrificing his youth. And with her, like I said, I think she was on the boat. She was brought up, to live one lifestyle, to meet some man she loves, but she can't accept it,
Yeah.
and then when I guess she really loved him and some things he made sense. She realized he had money. Maybe she says there's something to it. You know what I mean? I think a lot has to be what you've gotten accustomed to.
Yeah.
And of course there was something there that she liked him, that she was willing, to spend time in getting to know. And Kyle, I just think it was something that just turned out, that she met,
Oh, Dylan, I
Yeah.
mean.
No, Kyle was the one who made all the money, right?
Oh, I thought you were saying, got it. I understand.
Weren't they going to be together or something? Were they I always got confused if she dated Kyle.
No.
Okay, she never did. I was there. I don't know why I got a little confused because I know he had a girlfriend. Okay.
You maybe wanted him to date.
Yeah.
Maybe that was.
So, what was interesting though is like it all comes down to values,
Mhm.
right? What do they value? And you could even see that, okay, let's fast forward to when after they've broken up. Dylan and Amber broke up. They went on their separate ways, and Dylan finally gets to Ecuador.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
He
Yep.
retires,
Yep.
retires early,
Yeah.
and his main value was also to have a wife and support the wife and
The
children.
Right.
children. He
That
wants
was
a
good. That was
family.
his. He
Yeah.
wanted a family.
Yeah.
So like part of it was
And
they
to
had
be
a shared
there for
value
them,
there.
right? And not have to be gone the whole time that they were being,
Right.
raised and off working. Yeah.
But what was interesting is he then started getting accustomed to the pleasures of life,
Right.
Yes.
which
Yeah.
actually started to even out the
So
situation
he
for him
started
and Amber
eating out a little bit more and stuff.
because it cost next to nothing in another
Yes.
country.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And so, but his earning was different, and he actually cashed out of all of his investments in America
Right.
because at that period of time it wasn't helping him
Yeah.
being in that
Down where he
house
was, yeah,
hack
yeah.
situation.
House hat. That
Yeah.
was what I.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it also gave for some time for Amber to absorb all of the information, and then they started to meet eye to eye, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because at one point he wanted her to stay. She didn't want to. She wanted to come back to the
Yeah,
US.
she's
Right.
like,
Yeah,
you come
and
down
they-
here, you're staying now, right? No, you're
Yeah,
coming back with me. I'm like,
yeah.
really, girl?
I know.
I would have gone,
He missed something.
Yeah,
But
but her value was her family as
home.
well,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
not
Yeah.
being able to
yeah.
be near her family after her dad just had a heart attack.
That was I was thinking about that too, about that business when we talked about not having to work like a maniac and have heart attacks like her dad, because he can't afford their bills, right? He has to work till he's 105. I didn't say that, but that's
Yeah.
what it's,
Right. Their
yeah,
lifestyle
yeah,
required him
yeah,
to put in
yeah,
a lot of hours.
yes.
Yeah. And where's the enjoyment?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you live to work or work to live?
exactly.
Right?
So, on your own time, I would say, what would financial freedom look like in your own life? That's a journaling prompt,
Mm,
I feel.
yeah.
What would it be like?
Yeah.
I tell you one thing, I think I could sleep better. Because, anxiety, not being able to make ends meet and stuff like that. But to me, it's a sense of freedom.
Mm.
Freedom to buy, to own if I want to, splurge on something. If I want to travel, I don't have to look at the dollars because it costs. Not having what you want without having to sacrifice something else.
Yeah.
And knowing you have the money, that's what it would mean for me.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about I know the politics is negative and everything, but when you think of all those billionaires, you know what it is that we have to worry. The other day I had to worry about paying my electric because you know what I mean?
I do
I
understand, yeah.
I don't want to worry about that. That's what freedom would be for
Just
me.
the daily life stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just get up and
Yeah.
live, and if things break down, oh, no big deal. I
Yeah.
can write a check. That's what I want,
I agree.
And I don't have to have fancy. I'm not like that. Some people have to have, exactly, but Mercedes Benz, they have to live in a 5, room house. I don't have to. I just want to be comfortable.
Right.
That's all.
Agreed. Concur.
I love that. So now we move to relationship growth and money communication. You must learn how to talk about money if you want to build a life together. How do Dylan and Amber navigate financial differences? There was a lot of arguing.
They
I
have a
feel.
lot of spats is what I want to say, and there was a lot of poking.
But it's interesting because it was okay. Dylan was on the track to become a lawyer.
Right. Yeah.
Her father was a lawyer,
Yeah.
and she's Italian.
A lot of
And
hot-blooded conversations there.
and what's interesting is like it felt not always like the arguing of like bad,
No.
but like it was like
intelligent.
lawyer-like. Yeah, it was in
Just, you know, fact, point, case point, you know?
right.
Yeah.
And that's something, that's actually a good thing to learn
That's
how to
healthy.
do.
Healthy.
Yeah,
Is
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how do you understand the facts? How do you interpret information? How can you have a specific view, support that view, and then also see key differences where maybe you need to shift your view?
And don't let your ego get caught up in there, right?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
data
agree.
analysis.
Exactly. Yes, yes.
So, what role does vulnerability play in their relationship?
Vulnerability and letting their heart, Dylan to be, you know, back in a relationship again, right?
Yeah.
After both of them actually,
Mhm.
on both sides, right?
Right.
Yes,
That's what I was
yeah,
gonna say.
yeah, both sides.
Yeah, they were both hurt because Dylan, see, I thought it was more her, but Dylan was just as hurt
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
He said, "You hurt me."
Yeah.
So I think too, if you're talking about college, I mean, they were young. I
Yeah.
mean, when you think about that, they
Yeah.
were probably 17, 18, 19. You know, what do you know then? I mean, you're old enough to look back,
Yeah.
to when you were 18, 19, you know?
Yeah.
So, and how much we've matured, and like you're saying, our mindset, how
Yeah.
much, well, because of society, you change. So I think she was getting caught up in trying to see herself, I think, in that life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to try to adjust without having to hear the parents in the background. I think that was a lot.
True.
I can relate to
True.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
I would be nervous to go to the house because I said, to hear this shit. How do you bring it up? So I can relate. When I was reading, I felt her with her family. I felt that struggle. And if you see movies, you see something they struggle. You
Yeah.
go, oh, so and so's coming, watch what you say, or say this, and it was a little bit like that with my family. So
Gotcha.
I feel she was caught up in that,
Yeah.
But and maybe maybe she wouldn't have mind living a little bit like him, but I think eventually she wouldn't want to be like that forever either.
Yeah.
She did like that other lifestyle. Everybody does. Well,
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody likes to live nice and not have to,
Right.
struggle.
Yes.
Well, I think it was interesting, because he didn't have that as a plan forever.
No.
He had it for a certain time period, which
Right.
was the time when a lot of people like to splurge because you're young.
Yeah.
Right.
But he
Yeah,
taught
and you put it
himself,
down.
he
Yeah.
taught himself certain, like self-control.
It was
That's the word.
self-control,
Discipline.
willpower,
He was
Discipline.
very will and
Yeah.
willpower.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you said, and it never even crossed my mind about his parents. What was his background like?
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, did he come from one like her family?
Yeah.
Or was it worse than him, not educated,
Yeah.
So yeah, you wonder what made him so young to be disciplined, the
Conquered, yeah.
willpower to conquer,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
to see that vision so young.
I feel like he was a Virgo.
It is very green.
With some Scorpio in there.
Very intense and intense. Yeah, I agree.
Scorpio is not a male suit for me. I
Yeah.
think I'm supposed to be with a Taurus.
A grounded,
think-
very grounded.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah, you all are doing. Yeah, with astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still not late. Meet somebody.
I think you headed in that direction by doing this right here.
Oh man. So in regards to, okay, so I have a question up here of how do you handle money discussions with loved ones? Who are those loved ones that you need to have those conversations with?
My dogs don't answer back.
They don't?
Me, myself, and I. I mean, my dogs might say,
Food.
Yeah, they want the high-end food. Guess what's happening right now,
Yeah.
dude? You're not getting that
Give them
food.
money.
That's right.
You home cook their meals though.
It's cheaper than the
Yeah.
dog
I
food.
know it's probably better though.
It is.
Probably tastes
It
better.
is better. Yeah. They're super spoiled, so no chicken thighs tonight, dudes.
But mine is my son.
Mm.
I have tried to help him, manage his money. He won't let me. When he was younger, he had bad credit because they come in envelopes of blue, pink, green, they come in all colors. I know.
I remember
But
the pink ones from the insurance company, but yeah,
I mean,
Geico.
that's how, and he's right. He did straighten out his credit. I
Mm.
haven't seen one since.
Wow.
So, and I figure if we do the business because of my age, they're gonna consider, because if I get a loan, I have to live long enough to pay it, you know what I mean? So I don't know what's gonna be involved. I gotta find myself a business person to help me with my finances. But that's what I would do.
Mm.
As long as he's okay, then we can sign up together. Otherwise, you know what I mean? I just feel my age would be the problem of them giving me money,
Mm.
so I don't know. So
Just
Yeah.
stay positive. It's
Yeah.
out there for you. But you're
Also,
doing the work, which is great.
it's
well, I just need guidance. I
Yep.
need to know how much can I handle.
Mm.
I'm not going to say, but a friend of mine started a business, and I really think she made a big mistake and didn't do her research, because someone came in the shop and they said she doesn't even have enough to pay her rent of all the stuff and everything to pay her rent.
Yeah.
And so I thought about, she said that about my business. You have to look at every aspect of it and
Yeah.
be realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
And not say, oh, this and that. And, because it's bad enough it's hard to start a business, but to fail so fast.
And your name's out there. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so
But
I would,
in her defense,
Yeah.
sometimes you need to hurry up and fail
Oh, okay. All right.
because everybody has to have their own journey.
Okay.
And if it happens to be that
That's it.
it does fail, she's going to learn something. She's going to learn something.
Well,
and
definitely.
and if she ignores the lesson, it'll come up again.
Oh yeah, you got to. Yeah.
And so and it's at that point it's like, okay, you hope that if that ever happens to you, you have supportive friends of pointing you in the direction of like, all right, maybe take a look at this. And if they are not willing to listen, then
you let it go. At least you offered.
Yeah.
So
so then we move on to spiritual lessons hidden in financial discipline. Wealth is not just what you have. It is who you become in the process. Where do we see spiritual growth through money lessons in this book?
Wasn't it paying attention to her credit cards and stuff too, what the interest rate?
Mm.
And she was actually making sure, and it was a good lesson. I don't know why that's coming up, but that's definitely coming up with what she did when she was doing her credit cards and asking the questions and being more open, I guess spiritually open to looking at things. It's not just locked down, being open to looking outside the box. That's what I'm getting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because how can I ask those questions? Remember the very first part in the beginning when and he was just walking her through, ask him for this, get a lower interest rate, do this,
because he did it with one of her cards right then and there.
then.
And it's so
And
funny.
she did it, but she being open, you know what I mean, and spiritually open.
Just to me too is having the faith.
Yep,
and
that's
believing.
The faith. Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
If you don't believe and you don't have the faith, you're not going to.
And that was early on,
and that was the first one.
Yeah.
The first concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. I felt like she was so caught up. She couldn't even decide what she believed in.
Because she was blocked.
Wanted,
She was blocked in.
right? Like you said, she was like in
she
the
had
box.
the horse blinders on.
She needed,
You know what those are, right?
So what did you just
Horse blinders.
Oh,
yeah.
A lot of people don't know what that is.
Oh, wow.
So how do patience, gratitude, and faith appear as a tool?
Oh, how do they as tools?
Those are the
Well,
tools.
You need and having all of this, it keeps you hanging in there, because in anything we do, there's always struggles. It's easy to be discouraged.
Yeah.
It's easy to give up. So that I feel if you keep that goal and you really believe, even if things go down, you find a way, what did I do wrong? And then get back on your feet and do it again.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Get back on and just keep on until you get it done. You know, and research is the biggest thing, I think, in anything. You've got to know what you're selling. You got to know what your business does. You got to know the people. They always say your audience. Who are you?
Stereo. Yeah.
Yeah, well, who you're gonna reach out to? Who do you
Yep.
want? And there's really a lot. That's why I wish my son would help me, because I told him I'm doing it more for you. I'm doing okay financially. You're the one, So, and it's a lot of work, and he won't put into it. And he wants me to do everything. He's very lazy. So, anywho.
So the other thing that is coming up for me in regards to Amber, she had a couple, well, like faith moments. She left her job, the security of her job,
That was, yeah.
and went to being self-employed.
Tutor.
Exactly.
No guarantee.
No guarantee, but it was something she kind of had to do for herself because she wasn't getting that joy, that same joy
Right.
being there.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember when she did that and stuff. And then when they didn't have enough for her, right? And that when she was doing that, right? When the lady had to shut down the business and just said, I can only have enough for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And it provided that trust with the universe because she did have another investment, which was good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She did have a fallback, so she did plan things out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then she also, right before that, I think was it Dylan had asked her to travel with her?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that?
Yep. Yep. And she was like, no, because she was like, I can't just go all over Europe or something, whatever. Yeah, backpacking or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
willy-nilly. Yeah.
But she still was that committed, the old fashioned,
Yeah.
But about 2 months in, then she could have
Yeah.
went. I remember that whole
Yeah.
part of it.
And then she ended up in Ecuador.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
And so
right.
it just was like very interesting that it's not always us planning it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bigger picture, and there are other things, of unitings and different at play.
Mhm.
And so, paying attention to the bigger picture of like source energy and just letting go sometimes. Sometimes you just have to take those risks
Right.
with your intuition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they pay off. And I would say, I'm not going to say sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. It's more about you'll get the lesson.
The lesson. That's correct.
And okay, so we're getting our last two questions here. Multiple streams of income. Okay, don't rely on one source of income. What are some of the methods explored?
Well, we just talked about too, right? She had the consulting and she had her backup apartment investment that
Yep.
she did have, right?
Yeah.
And Dylan had a couple different streams going on, right? For his businesses, for his investments. What else did he have going on?
He had like the Ecuador thing.
Okay, the
Yeah.
Ecuador thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's lots of, different opportunities there for them. And
How about building the wedding out of that one house,
That-
Oh,
and they could make it into a whole wedding thing
Yes,
if they
yeah.
wanted to, but also live
Yeah,
there.
Lots of opportunities with that, right?
I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
That would be
like-
something I'd like to
I
do.
like that.
I like the fact that she was able to tell the father, we're gonna pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
and he kept on arguing and she said no. So that was something too that they proved.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, everything was, I think it was funny stuff that people were making comments at the wedding. It just
Yeah.
wasn't the traditional family one.
Yeah, right.
And she already by then you could tell she was comfortable on her wedding day and all,
Yeah.
everything working out. She finally made peace with that
Yes.
lifestyle and
Right
she's
on.
gonna marry him. Yeah.
Right on.
So
So what are 3 things that you could have as possible streams for your income?
That's just it. I don't know. If I did, I would be doing it. Yeah, that's another thing. I never knew something that you have to enjoy, of course, and something, you can afford to make or buy or sell. So, you know what I mean? I never knew exactly what I wanted to do. So now I like this, the modalities of all the healing. I was hoping, have maybe a place like that. Something like this,
Mhm.
a little bit, different, but I never knew what I wanted to do, and I never felt comfortable making a living being self-employed. That's why I always felt like I had to work for somebody, but that was me.
Mine's astrology and just which branch I'm going to go off into. I'm going to do progress charts and medical, but there's a formulation that's going to come out of that, out of the certification.
Mhm.
My property actually can be an investment. I mean, I can make money out of it because I have a small building that I've turned into my office, but I've also rented it out before. It's
Oh,
has the ability to be rented out or Airbnb.
oh, cool.
It's got opportunity. Let's put
That's
it
cool.
that way.
Right.
Yeah, so I can always be and I've divided the property up so that it can happen.
Oh,
Mhm.
good.
So those are 2 right off the cuff, just right off the
Yeah.
bat. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For me, I think with now almost being complete with the astrology certification program, I'd like to be able to get that online where people can take a class and it's already recorded for them.
right.
And then and they'll be able to like self-pace as well. So, and then they'll have all of the different downloadable worksheets and things like that.
Absolutely.
Good.
I think it would be really cool. Because sometimes you just don't have time to go and be there at a certain time,
And then we'll be able to hold certification Q&A and I can do one of those and that's an opportunity of an income.
I was totally, I sent that to your higher self, and I'm sure you sent that to my higher self. We've been talking.
And I was gonna say, Jana, she doesn't have another job, does she? She only works here?
She just got a job at Enchanted Spirits.
But
But Janet, the other place, yeah.
Yep.
Because it was so funny when I was
Yeah.
there and I know that guy, from R3. So okay.
Yeah.
Now because I was wondering, see, I would be nervous because you don't have traditional jobs where you don't have an income every week, do you?
Well, I
You
go
do? Yeah, because I couldn't handle that.
I do
That was my
teaching.
problem.
I do
Yeah.
teaching, and then
Yeah.
I also go into different homes,
Oh,
and I'm an organizational specialist, and I do some lawn work, but I do it with intention. So it's the energy work behind it too.
okay.
So like this June was
Mhm.
my highest month that I've had on record.
Okay, see, that's the thing.
And so I'm
I
like,
would be sick.
and
I might, I couldn't
I get paid the day of,
do.
Yeah.
Oh,
which is
okay.
good. And
Yeah.
we've been working with a budget and we allocate our funds a very specific way and we use it. And sometimes she'll be like, hey, can we do it this? And I'm like, no, we need to go back to the specific board here because if we're consistent with this, we're not going to make excuses for ourselves.
Right. Do that.
And we take both of our incomes. It doesn't matter whoever's money that is, then we get like because we have it different ways, and one of those is investment.
Oh,
So whoever has gotten the money, they get the investment.
oh, okay.
So and of course we'll have moments where we're gonna have mutual investments.
Right.
But like for instance,
Like
one of the investments.
You're really kind of starting off because you only known each other for a year. And you were saying about companion and all. That's
Mhm.
the first thing you should always do when you're getting together, marriage. You have to talk about stuff like that. I mean, that could cause a divorce, a breakup if you don't agree in your money. So that's excellent.
Yes.
So it's
You
actually
are
funny.
doing it.
The book that I wanted her to read was The Size of Your Dreams and the Cash Machine. She had so much resistance with it. And then when I brought it into the circle of Mystery School Book Club, she's like, all right, I'll read this. and she loved it
Yeah.
No,
because there was a lot of fear
Oh, yeah.
of like, this is how I've operated. I
Right.
have to change things. I don't know how to deal with it. But you know what? Together we've been doing that, and it's actually made us more close. It's amazing. Now, the last key point that I want to talk about here, is Sadaka.
That's how you say it. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. I know
The
you say it,
sacred-
but I didn't know how to spell it.
So it's the sacred act of giving. It's charity.
Yep.
It's a Jewish principle, and it's also called tithing. It's 10%. Okay.
Oh.
In Judaism, we have this like concept of giving, 10% to, of our paycheck to something. And that's actually when we do our budget, when we go through it, we have 10% and 10% always goes out. Right now, we have a fund that has just now exceeded $200 for Sadaka. And it feels really good because I was telling April earlier, I've never been able to like give monetarily. I've always been a volunteer.
Oh.
But now I'm doing it
You have a consistent basis to be able
because
to do it.
I have a framework that I'm working with that already plans for it. And so like then we do the research and who we want to give to. And it's really cool.
I love it.
So, in your journey, like how has Sadaka played a role? Has it been in different forms? And in regards to the money form, how could you set things up and how would that help you, from a heart perspective?
Mm.
Because they often say, if you're not giving when you don't have a lot, you're not going to give when you have a lot.
You should be given 10% of your time somewhere if you look at a year basis somewhere as well.
Yeah. And it can be time.
Right.
It definitely can be time.
Time is money, money's time.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do a lot of my time.
So, but yeah, so definitely that's very good.
So on this last part 2 and part 3, there are more journaling and things like that. And I'm gonna leave that for you because we're at 3:09 now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we started a little bit,
Okay,
but-
I don't work, so
So I really value this conversation.
that's
Very
why
good.
I didn't mind the game, but I wanted to finish.
No.
I
Yeah.
said he got me all
we need to complete.
excited.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
I said, oh, so that was all.
So, well, I
I
think
I liked it. Yeah.
I think we needed to experience that, but would you be interested in going forward with a couple rounds of the game?
I don't mind. I just need to pay attention. I still didn't get it.
Well, I
and
don't expect you to get it the first time.
Get it? No,
I
that makes
mean-
sense.
Or the second, maybe.
that way we, work on it. the
Yeah.
Finances and all that stuff. So,
So thank you.